fun enough, I have maybe watched 3 YouTube videos in my life ever. I have never watched TV as an adult. I don't watch YouTube videos, and that's why I have a lot of lack of knowledge in many areas in comparison to you guys. But the reason why I don't watch any YouTube is because I've spent all my life studying motion in nature and observing bodies in motion. And my brain wanted to relate to a lot of studies that happened in the real world. And I skipped this whole internet world for most of the time in my life. So whilst I'm recording this, and I wanted to show you a diagram about how the diaphragm is shaped. Give me a bit of time on how to cut these things into these programs, and I'll stick to explaining things for now, because it will take a lot of more time for me to understand how to implement the things. That doesn't mean that everything that I have to share isn't from value or isn't of value, as I've spent my life and my time probably studying the world from other perspectives. This is why I'm sharing and daring to open up this channel. And I know that at some point, a lot of people will be able to learn from that. I'm very grateful that you're taking the time to watch this. And we were speaking about the diaphragm and how we, as athletes and artists, have to use it for our craft. So depending on what you do, let's say you're a thrower, let's say you are a violinist, let's say you are working very one-sided or one-twisted in the same direction, that's perfect, because that means that your body has a shape that doesn't necessarily want to be equal. Obviously, there are lots of therapists, movement therapists, and also, let's say, if you're a musician, music therapist, that try to move you in a way that goes against that rotation. If you're working on a very high professional level, of course, the people know about your craft and how things are shaped. Nevertheless, you are the one that is also going through pain from time to time. And it's important to work with the spirals of the shape of your sport and not trying to work against that, because your mind, your emotions, your point of view on the world, and the sport are connected in emotion that is going to help you to stick to that and stay elevated and very grounded within the craft. If you continuously choose to evolve within that frame and within the frames that you keep changing to stay healthier within your goals. Wherever you are, and no matter how difficult the situation in your sport can be at times, your breathing can help you to regulate that. We were speaking about the diaphragm the other day, and I gave some confusing information about that. I did that on purpose because there's a lot of confusing information about lots of things. If you stick to one person or a line, you'll get the security and safety that you need until the moment where you, boom, shift again. Then you'll figure out that whatever you thought was real and true in this type of technique, approach, or mentality is wrong or differently seen. Then we have the internet, which is very great because it gives us a lot of information and impacts the point of view that we have on the life. But what the problem is with the internet and with all the knowledge we get is that we lose the connection to what our body's telling us. I was just having a client earlier who said that he uses these breathing exercises. He hasn't worked with me so far. And he continues to do what is being told to him, but he didn't integrate the ability to sense what is happening to him. And when I'm saying that, I'm not speaking about hyperventilating. I'm not speaking about feeling a lot of emotions, crying. Like there are all these Instagram videos where you can see people crying as they are breathing. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about sensing what you're doing whilst and because you're giving an instruction. If you're a professional in your field, you're really good at doing that within your field. But there are other fields like breathing, for example, if you're not an expert on it yet, an expert as an experienced expert for yourself, because you have put in the reps and the sets. Whereas you are detached from your body sensations and are in tune with what has been told to you as the information, you need to create a bridge to your body. You know that because you are an expert within your body and your craft. But it's very important for me to voice that whatever we will be doing, it's not you getting information and input of an exercise and then you just do what I'm telling you, but the way I'm speaking to you is as a human. I'm speaking to you as a human that wants to open up a world inside of your awareness of your body to understand how the chemistry of your body functions so that you, within your brain patterns, understanding of the world, the current physical fitness that you're in, and your previous understanding of your breathing, you get an opportunity to dive deeper into the expansion of yourself. Because through the expansion of yourself, you can have a better exchange of what is in the outside world and the inside world. And that's what happens with the breathing. But in order to expand yourself, you need to let go of what you think about yourself, what you believe to think and feel about yourself, and what others believe about you. Otherwise, you'll not be able to stretch from within and then into the craft. That's where gold happens. This is where miracles happen. This is something that doesn't need to be sold to anyone, but that it's a secret that at some point can be shared with the world through excellence. The execution of it happens before and happens in relation to others. The breathing is something that needs to be done from within and with yourself. That's why it's a magical power, because you can do that wherever you are and however you want. But if you want to see yourself as a whole, and the whole also integrates your human being, also your way of thinking and the way you execute, the brain functions best if there is a relation to the outside world, as the inhale and the exhale also need to have a relation to the outside world. No matter how selfish you may be, no matter how much you want to achieve something, no matter how much you have worked on yourself, you need the outside to stay alive. Like you need the inhale in order to stay alive. You need the exhale. You need to let go. Otherwise, everything stays stuck within you. Okay, so this is a bit of not the philosophical part, but I'm just saying all of that so that you know what we are not going to do here. There is a higher degree of awareness that only can come of understanding that we are not aware. Speaking about the diaphragm again, and then in the next chapter, we're going to go back to another implementation of the exercises that we have been doing, which have been very simple. I'm going to speak about them in the next video, so skip into the next if you want to stay in this channel. The diaphragm, because of the heart that is slightly more on the left side of the rib cage, is going to be a bit lower than the right side. And the right side of the diaphragm is going to be a bit higher because of the liver that needs more space. So the liver needs more space, and this is why the diaphragm is a bit higher and also a bit broader. On the other side, to balance that out, or not to balance it out, but because of the position of the organs, the left side is going to be a bit tighter and a bit lower. And again, there will be informations in the internet and information in books, and people will share informations with you that might sometimes be expressed in a way that is confusing, or where you have to rewatch it or reread it and then rethink it. Because especially when it comes to the body, a lot of feelings and directions that we sense are the opposite of what is actually happening. If you sense into your inspiration and you sense how the diaphragm is contracting and pushing the organs down, it actually feels, it doesn't feel like this type of contraction, because this is a different motion. It feels more like that. And you can see the bones doing a compression. But in the diaphragm, what happens is that the contraction does the opposite to the bones. It does this to the rib cage. So with breathing, a lot of things go the other way around to what it feels. And to finish this chapter today, it is not just the only way around, but it also is the other way around to what we think is right and should be done. Most people, when they are lacking breath and are out of breath, want to get air in. To balance your air and get more air in, what you actually have to do is to exhale and hold your breath after an exhalation so that more air can come into your body. It's a bit like in love relationships. When you want more love, you want to feel loved, you want more. The more you want it and the more you need it, the less you'll get it. So breathing is very similar in that sense. This is a bit longer today. I'm trying to keep them as short as I can. But all the information that I share are meant to open the mind and re-look at not only yourself, but also the topic of breathing, because it's way more than that. And I'm not saying that is something spiritual. If you want to change and feel better and get to your goals with more peace, move out of anxiety, move out of the fears, move out of the negative circles and circuits and neurotic patterns that you have, we have to change the architecture of our understanding so that we can change slowly the architecture of our behavior, which means our relation to the actions that we take needs to change. And therefore, we need to detach ourselves and take the second choice, maybe, or the fourth, and not the first that we want to take, in order to rewrite our history and story and know where we have to continue to execute and where we have to take a step back and maybe take the second choice.